The issue of homelessness is one of the biggest topics right now here in the Inland Northwest. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Here at KREM 2 News, we are committed to bringing you more to every story. It's something you'll see as we cover homelessness and the impact it has on the people who are housed and in the Inland Northwest community. As we continue to track developments, here is some of our recent coverage.
Jules Helping Hands peer support and housing volunteers say their role is to make connections.
We're helping people get ready to take the next steps. And that'll include, the housing, everything, all inclusive. So we'll be working with the other partners that are coming out here and peer support.
And the connection is what is the key, because when they're ready to go do something, they're going to be talking to us.
The first volunteer in this position started 1 month ago. Once they learn that someone is ready to move out of the camp, they connect them with housing managers and caseworkers. After they've settled in, volunteers say they schedule follow-ups with ex-campers. Allie Grounds and Cheryl Brown say moving out can be difficult, but they help simplify the process.
I've met so many people out here that tell me that they have housing, but they don't know who they're working with, and they don't know what steps to take. So our goal is to keep track of everybody and who they're working with and what they're working on, so that we can help connect all the dots and actually make something happen.
Volunteers say challenges in moving people out of the camp include people not wanting to leave the privacy of their tents for open concept shelters like the one on Trent.
There's some people that would like the little pallet houses. There's some people that would like transitional living. There's some people that maybe are elderly that need a little bit of help, maybe some assisted living. And so we're just looking at all the avenues.
Volunteers say in the last couple weeks, they've helped 17 people transition to shelters, living with family members, and stable employment with housing included.
The City of Spokane sent out a letter Thursday giving the Washington State Department of Transportation until this Monday to outline their plan for clearing out the homeless camp near I-90. The city says once a plan's submitted, it expects the state to start clearing out the camp by September 23rd and be finished by October 14th. Several business owners near the camp couldn't be more excited to hear about the news.
I am ecstatic. It is absolutely wonderful. I can't wait. It's going to be a celebration. I think all of us will help clean up the area once the homeless have relocated.
But for nonprofits like Empire Health Foundation, who works with the camp's occupants, they're frustrated the city's trying to clear out the encampment so fast.
I don't think it helps in the work that we're trying to do. I think it's frustrating that the city seems to be aggressively pursuing this idea that we could just get rid of the camp in a short period of time. And as I was just saying, that's not really possible.
Another nonprofit, Compassionate Addiction Treatment, says the city's plan isn't going to change anything they're doing.
My initial reaction was stunned. I was stunned into silence. My reaction now, and our reaction as a team, is we're here to do the work and we're not going to be distracted by city politics.
The city says it plans to take legal action if they don't get a response by Monday. If that's the case, they'll deem the state's property a chronic nuisance and issue a citation.
We've seen a very big uptick in crime and things like that in the area, and we just kind of hope that maybe if they get some help, that'll resolve itself. The place that they're living in right now isn't a place where anybody should live, so I'm just really glad the city's stepping up and really trying to help those guys.
The city says it spent more than $350,000 addressing nuisance issues at the camp since last March. The letter says the city plans to seek reimbursement from the state if they can't come to an agreement.
Over the last year, this homeless camp on WSDOT property near I-90 has grown to about 600 people, more than 600 people. But just within the last 2 hours, we've learned that the City of Spokane is putting WSDOT on notice to clear this camp out. Now, the City of Spokane sent out this letter yesterday, giving WSDOT until Monday to outline their plan for cleaning out the camp. Now, the city says Once that plan is submitted, it expects the state to start clearing out the camp by September 23rd and be completed by October 14th. The City of Spokane says it plans to take legal action if they don't get a response by Monday. If that's the case, the city will deem the state's property a chronic nuisance and issue a citation. WSDOT will have 10 days to clear out the camp. The city says it spent more than $350,000 addressing nuisance issues at the camp since March of this year. It calls the expenses unacceptable. Now, the city says those funds were supposed to provide additional housing options. The letter to the state says the city plans to seek reimbursement from the state if they can't come to an agreement. We've reached out to WSDOT for a statement. The department has received the letter from the city and will formally respond at a later date.
A nonprofit group is suing the City of Spokane and Catholic Charities over the proposal to turn the Quality Inn Hotel in West Hills into a homeless shelter. The nonprofit is Spokane for Safe Neighborhoods. Their members are made up of people who live and own property in the West Hills neighborhood. The nonprofit wants a public process for the review of the Quality Inn shelter in addition to 2 other proposed shelters. They say there has been no public hearing about the shelter's impact and alternatives. Their president says the city also violated its own zoning code as of last month. Catholic Charities is set to close on the Quality Inn property by September 12th.
The Trent Shelter opened its doors yesterday, and this afternoon, for the first time in years, Mayor Nadine Woodward asked police to continue citing people who they find sitting or lying on sidewalks in this area between Maple and Division, I-90 and Spokane Falls Boulevard between the hours of 6 a.m. and midnight. The ticket is a misdemeanor.
One of the first things that will happen is if somebody is cited for sit and lie, they will be referred to community court, a program that's been in Spokane for a number of years.
The mayor says community court is another way people can connect to services to help them exit homelessness and enter housing. However, if people miss their court date, a warrant will be issued for their arrest.
And the warrant is some accountability. So now if there's a warrant, then that compels you to come back to your next, hopefully, your next appointment with the court system.
That's going to put everything backlogged. Public defenders are going to be backlogged.
Oliver Stewart has been homeless for the last 6 years. He's not worried about the sit and lie rules because he's disabled. An exception according to the Spokane Municipal Code. But Stewart says he understands why the mayor is bringing the ordinance back.
There are people that won't even move for people that are coming down the sidewalk, and I think that's messed up because little kids getting pushed in strollers, people will just leave their crap all over the place. If I was a parent in a regular part of society, I'd be pissed too if I had to walk in the road.
We asked him why he's sitting on a pile of cardboard and not in a bed at the Trent Shelter.
I just don't like being around that many people because they're slobs. So many of the homeless are just slobs. They're just gross and slobs.
The sit and lie ordinance does not apply to the homeless camp off I-90 in Freya, which has grown to more than 600 people. Mayor Woodward says she's in talks with the Department of Transportation, who owns the land, and the State Patrol. She says the day will come when people, tents, and RVs will be cleared out.
Because as you've been there, it's not a humane or a compassionate place. Neither are the streets, viaducts, and sidewalks. So we want to make sure that we have a better place for people and we don't normalize the kind of conditions that we're seeing there.
Well, right now there are about 20 people here at the Trent Shelter and more have been coming in. And earlier today, I did get to see the first shuttle leave the homeless encampment on I-90 in Freya for people who did want to come here. Jules Helping Hands wants to get the word out, and they're also giving out flyers like these. The shelter will provide 3 meals a day and an overnight sleeping area for people who want to stay long term. There are 40 beds, and that is expected to grow to 250.
Everything sounds like a good idea, honestly. I mean, food and the shelter and everything, just to have a place, you know, get people off the streets and stuff and away from here.
The city hopes the shelter gives people at the homeless encampment on I-90 and Freya a safe and healthy living option. Andy James Krieg, a resident at that camp, was one of the first people on the bus to the shelter.
I'll have a bed and a shower and all 3 meals in some place I can call home for now. And an address, and give me a phone, and people won't be stealing me blind down in Sin City or downtown. I'm looking forward to it.
The shelter is opening after Spokane City Council approved a $6.5 million contract 2 weeks ago. Today, we spoke with people at the encampment who did not want to leave.
It looks like a concentration camp. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's just kind of a bunch of tents and beds, and it looks like it's in a big warehouse surrounded by a fence. Nobody's going to go there.
The shelter still does not have indoor plumbing. Last week, Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward told KREM 2 News she's hoping funds from the Department of Commerce to pay for plumbing and laundry facilities.
What does this shelter consist of? Change? Does it consist of empathy, compassion for the people here?
The mayor said that the shelter will be a new option for the campers, but is not a solution to fully clear out the camp. So you can see everything is mostly set up here. There's beds behind me, and there's a little food pantry where they gave out pizza today, also gave out coffee. They're also giving out towels for people who do want to shower. And when I did talk to Jules Helping Hands, they said as the weather gets colder and through word of mouth, they hope more people can come to the shelter. In Spokane, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
Until they open up shelters, folks are going to be here. We're going to continue to take care of them.
It's hard to say exactly when Spokane's homeless crisis became a crisis, but it was back in 2018 homeless campers first set up outside of City Hall in protest. They were demanding more low-barrier shelter beds and a repeal of the city's no camping and sit-and-lie rules that prohibit sleeping on sidewalks and other public spaces. It was the first time we heard the protest called Camp Hope.
They just wanted us to pick up our stuff and go.
The tents were later removed by authorities and the campers scattered.
We're not Seattle, but we need to get a handle on the situation.
In 2019, then candidate Nadine Woodward campaigned for mayor with the message that adding more shelter bed space would not solve the problem.
But we need to get beyond just meeting basic needs and just enabling people.
But the issue continued to grow. The COVID pandemic then forced the city to open temporary shelters at the Convention Center, Spokane Arena, and the Downtown Public Library. Then by mid-2021, Spokane's Way Out shelter transitioned into a bridge housing program, ending access to more than 100 low-barrier beds.
Everyone just wants somewhere to sleep.
Again, in protest, campers set up outside of City Hall under the name Camp Hope. Authorities again cracked down, saying the camp was blocking access to the building and posed a public health threat. This time, with help from advocates at Jules Helping Hands, homeless campers then migrated to the Department of Transportation property.
And it's located right off 2nd Avenue on the north side of the freeway across from Fred Meyer.
This new version of Camp Hope continued to grow, and this time outside of the city's jurisdiction on state property. By late 2021, now Mayor Woodward conceded, proposing a new 250-bed low-barrier shelter in a warehouse on East Trent. According to the city's point-in-time count, the homeless population has jumped dramatically since 2018. 5 years ago, it was just over 1,200. Today, it's estimated there are close to 800 campers just on this DOT land along I-90 in Freya, still being called Camp Hope. Now, with this new Trent shelter officially open, the hope is many of those campers will decide to pack up and finally move out.
This is all new fencing right here and around this parking lot, as well as an ADA ramp. And that was one of the last things that we needed to make sure was installed before we could open. You can see it's a very, very large facility, and we've had the flexibility to kind of vision how we wanted to divide the spaces up. So you'll see that we have areas that are sectioned off for different demographics within the homeless population. This is for males 18 and older, and right now there are 13 beds here. But if you come in, you can see that they get their own bed. They do have one bin for storage.
Do you have indoor plumbing yet?
Inside plumbing for the offices.
For the offices,
yes.
And so not yet for showers or restrooms?
No, so you can see the porta potties right here.
Right.
There will be a dozen porta potties, 2 ADA compliant, and we will have shower trailers out here.
Is that going to be the permanent solution, or is this just a temporary?
This is just temporary.
Okay.
We are hoping that Commerce will fund restrooms that would be constructed inside, along with laundry facilities.
Mayor, how much of the Commerce funding will eventually go toward this Trent facility?
We don't know yet. So right now they're looking at a reimbursement programs. They want to make sure that the people who are coming here are coming from the encampment on the WSDOT property. That's not a permanent solution. so they won't get to stay there permanently.
What kind of outreach have you guys been doing already to try and entice some of those campers there now to get them here?
Well, the outreach has been with the street teams, the outreach teams with different providers, but it's the assessment that will happen first. Some of them will be amenable to coming here, some of them won't, but we do believe that once people start coming here and the outreach teams come here to see what we're offering, that more people will accept this shelter as an option for them.
So clearly this is just part of the equation, with
Yes.
the ultimate goal, of course, of trying to get that Camp Hope cleared out completely. What is the timeline then for some of these other alternatives like the Sunset Hill project?
Well, it sounds like as soon as the Quality Inn purchase closes, that would be transitioned within 60 days.
Do you think you're going to be able to enforce sit-lie after this?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And we are getting close with the council to move over the finish line and a revised illegal camping ordinance as well.
Do you feel like you and council are communicating well and negotiating and compromising on that issue?
There has been compromise because we had different ideas on what that looked
Right.
like, what that should look like, but we have compromised and we've leaned in on the common ground. I think there's going to be more work to do. Even though this is a revised ordinance, it can be revised again as we move along and see if this is working. Is it enough? Are we seeing the impact that we want to? If not, we can go back to the table and talk about it.
The City of Spokane says the new Trent Avenue shelter will offer multiple separated spaces for different demographics, along with showers, restrooms, and 3 meals a day. There will also be services available to help people out of homelessness. Still, I got mixed reactions from people living at the homeless camp near I-90.
I'm waiting to start my life back over after COVID.
Some are looking forward to the shelter opening. Tammy believes it will give her the stability and resources she needs.
I don't feel safe, so I would go to a controlled environment where I would be safe.
While some share her opinion, others have no plans to leave.
Well, I'd rather live in a tent than be in a shelter.
Why though?
Shelters suck. I've lived in them before. Like, you gotta be in at a certain time, you gotta be out at a certain time, carry your stuff.
Danny showed me the home he built here at the homeless camp. It's complete with a dining area and a shower station.
Everybody got their hygiene stuff in here. We shower, wash up.
When the time comes and he's asked to clean up camp and leave, Danny says he'll be staying put.
Protest, like we did downtown and tell them, like, we don't want to go to the shelter. We don't want to leave us alone. Like, we've done this long. Let us be here.
Now, in our interview with Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward yesterday, she said there will be an end date for when people have to vacate that homeless camp near I-90, but that date is still being discussed. Reporting from the new Trent Avenue shelter, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Be sure to watch KREM 2 News for more local coverage that brings you more to every story. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Thank you for watching.